Have you ever had one of those moments where a piece of information just doesn't fit? It's not that it's scary on its own, but it contradicts a rule you thought was as solid as the ground beneath your feet. It creates a quiet, unsettling dissonance that hums in the background of your day. For anyone paying attention to the raw mechanics of the world, that moment arrived yesterday, a fundamental law of global finance, that a single commodity has a single price, was not just bent, it was snapped in two. What happened on January 15th, 2026 was not a typical market swing. It was the moment the digital reflection of value finally detached from the physical object it was supposed to represent. If you made any decision based on the number you saw on a screen, you were operating on intelligence from a reality that has ceased to exist. Let's lay out the facts without filter. In the quiet pre-dawn hours, the quoted price for silver on the New York Exchange experienced a violent plunge. For a brief period, it printed a value of $86 per ounce. Meanwhile, at that exact same time, the active market for physical metal in Shanghai, China, was trading at $100 per ounce. And if an individual in America had tried to purchase a single ounce from a primary dealer at that moment, the asking price would have been approximately $120. Hold those three figures in your mind: 86, 100, 120, for one identical commodity. Simultaneously. This isn't volatility. This is a system suffering a catastrophic failure of price discovery. The connective tissue between paper promises and metal atoms has disintegrated. To grasp the severity, you must look at the nature of that drop to $86. In my assessment, based on the timing and the mechanics, that was not an organic event. It was a controlled demolition. It occurred in the dead zone of trading, a window of minimal liquidity between the closing of one major market and the opening of another. Into this void, a massive volume of paper contracts, promises to deliver silver, not the silver itself, was unloaded all at once. The intent was purely technical: to trigger a cascade of automated selling, to paint charts a catastrophic red, and to manufacture a psychological event. It was a digital fire drill, orchestrated to manipulate derivative books and protect certain balance sheets from billions in imminent losses. For a few minutes, they created a price that served a ledger, not the market. The most profound evidence that this was a fiction, however, came from the tangible world, which reacted with utter contempt for the digital pantomime. While the screen flashed collapse, the real-world cost of actually obtaining the metal, the premium, skyrocketed. This, I believe, is the central drama now unfolding. The Great Divorce. The paper trading realm and the physical settlement realm have severed their partnership. One is a speculative arena of financial obligations. The other is a bare-knuckled fight for a finite, industrially essential material. The corroborating evidence for this divorce is blatant. Take the response of the United States Mint. As the digital price was in freefall, the Mint, the nation's sovereign producer, halted all sales of its silver bullion coins. Pause and consider the monumental confession embedded in that act. In a logical market, a falling input cost would be a potential boon for a manufacturer, yet the Mint didn't see a bargain. It saw an impossibility. It could not source the physical silver it needed at the artificially suppressed screen price. Its suppliers, operating in the reality-based economy, simply refused to sell. The official mint of the world's largest economy effectively declared the quoted benchmark price to be a useless fantasy for procuring the actual commodity. The standard unit of measure had lost its meaning. Parallel to this, major bullion dealers began imposing stringent limits on buybacks and reported severe inventory constraints. Why restrict people from selling to you during a supposed price crash? Because accepting metal based on an $86 paper valuation would be financial suicide when the replacement cost is $120. They weren't trading, they were in triage, managing a liquidity crisis of things, not dollars. Then there is the unmovable object, Shanghai. While New York was hallucinating a price of 86, Shanghai held steady at $100. That $14 chasm is not a trading opportunity. It is a screaming anomaly. In a functional system, this gap would be closed instantly by arbitrage. The fact it remains gaping open is a clinical diagnosis. The physical metal required to execute that arbitrage is not present in sufficient quantity in the West to correct the imbalance. The warehouse is empty. The demand from the East, from its green energy sector, its electronics giants, its vast population seeking hard asset shelter, is absolute. They are establishing the true price through sheer, uncompromising demand. This leads to my own analysis of the trap that has been set. The very institutions that can orchestrate a paper crash are often structurally short this market. They can manipulate digital derivatives to buy time, but they cannot manufacture physical ounces. Every artificial depression of the paper price merely amplifies the arbitrage signal, accelerating the drainage of the remaining physical stockpiles from west to east. They are burning the furniture to stay warm for one more night, ignoring that they are demolishing the house. The pressure building beneath this paper lid is now thermodynamic. If this breakdown of reality between paper and physical is clarifying the situation for you, I'd suggest staying connected. Subscribing is the best way to ensure you see the analysis as this historic decoupling continues to unfold. What follows from here is, of course, a matter of my own projection. The paper market will likely continue its violent algorithmic convulsions. We may see more of these engineered flash crashes, designed to test resolve and harvest stop-loss orders. But each event will serve only to widen the physical premium, further advertising the paper market's detachment. The physical market has declared its floor, $100 via industrial necessity in Shanghai, $120 via retail scarcity in the West. The paper price is now the outlier, drifting in a disconnected space below it. The end state, in my view, is not in doubt. The paper price must eventually undergo a violent recalibration upward to converge with physical reality. Economic gravity cannot be suspended indefinitely. The trigger will be something that makes the shortage undeniably mainstream. A major corporation missing production targets, a nationalization of resources, a default on a prominent delivery contract. When that catalyst hits, the adjustment will not be gradual. It will be a seismic event, a vertical repricing that closes the gap between fiction and fact in a matter of hours. This is why the imperative for a holder of physical metal is not passive holding, but a full understanding of what they possess. You do not own an asset priced at $86. You own an asset valued in a separate, more substantive economy at a premium of 40% or more. To sell based on the digital ticker is, in my estimation, to exchange a tangible good for a debased promise. For those with paper exposures, ETFs, futures, equities, the fundamental risk has been transformed. You are no longer simply invested in silver. You are invested in the solvency and operational integrity of the financial chain that stands between you and the metal, a chain that is currently straining to the point of fracture. The $34 spread between the paper and street price is the direct measure of that systemic risk. We are past the tipping point. The nature of the game has shifted from financial speculation to a physical resource grab. One hemisphere of the world is playing a numbers game on screens. The other is engaged in a material contest for atoms. The divorce is final. The old system of price discovery is bankrupt. Your only task now is to recognize which side of this divide your wealth resides on. In the fading digital echo or in the enduring physical truth. That gap between numbers is no longer a spread. It is a verdict.